Despite some serious opposition, both from the system's security forces and Enzo's petty squabbles, our heroes, along with the crew of the Saucy Mare, have escaped to an area where they can get a portal to the web. And they've picked up an extra man, a web surfer by the name of Ray Tracer, a charming rogue-type man who claims to know the web well, and whom Matrix hates for no particular reason. Anyways, the web awaits. This is truly a new frontier. What wonders and horrors await.
What we're looking for is just up ahead.
A tear? But how can we stabilize it to get through to the web?
Leave that to me, love. But first, we need protection.
Protection? What do you mean by that, lad?
You won't last a cycle in there without web shields, which we can make out of those.
Dead web creatures?
I get you, lad. Clap the ship in the scales of the dragon.
The Edge of Beyond was written by Christy Marks, with story by Gavin Blair, Christy Marks, Dan DiDio, Phil Mitchell, and Ian Pearson. The main cast includes Paul Dobson as Matrix, Sharon Alexander as Andrea, Lon John Baldry as Gavin Capacitor, Donald Gibson as Ray Tracer, Michael Donovan as Mr. Christopher, Kathleen Barr as Princess Bula, and Scott McNeil as Mr. Andrew. The episode opens with the ship reaching the Edge of Beyond, title drop, and Mr. Christopher recording a first mate's log. I'll allow this one because it actually makes sense for the accountant and first mate to keep records. He summarises a few of the events of the previous tale, and also mentions that Matrix is not fond of the surfer and the attention he's giving Andrea. And by attention, the episode seems to mean treating her courteously. Anyways, following the clip I showed you, the crew begins gathering the scales and skeletons of the various dead beasts floating in the inky void around them. They must completely encapsulate the ship before they enter the web, or the ship and its crew will degrade from web exposure. Web exposure would certainly explain why I feel like I lose brain cells every time I read or view certain things online. We get treated to a Rocky-style montage of the crew putting the shielding in place. At the end of that, we have a scene of Tracer helping Andrea with something, and when Andrea responds positively to it, we see Matrix stomp away like a 5-year-old. What an absolutely dumb scene. Andrea, embodying the opinion of the audience, grabs a zip board and flies away from the ship, just to get some distance from Matrix. She mumbles angrily under her breath, until she notices something strange nearby.
What's this?
Andrea, not that! We've got to stop her! Andrea!
Enzo!
Andrea!
Tracer manages to catch Andrea as she falls, but she's looking really bad. Matrix catches up and goes to destroy the creature, but Tracer warns that if he does that, he'll kill Andrea too. Matrix listens to him for once, and the pair chase after the creature instead. Unfortunately, the creature heads for the tower and uses it to portal into the web proper, but Matrix manages to attach a tracker to it before it escapes. I'm saddened by what has happened to Andrea, but with this bad news does come some good news. We have, only 6 minutes in, come to the end of the horrible love triangle thing. Woohoo! We can finally get back to ReBoot after this disastrous sitcom experiment. In the next scene, the work is done and the ship is all decked out. This is such a cool overhaul. The ship looks awesome. My only caveat here is that sadly, the intro sequence, which was updated in episode 32, gives us a short glimpse of this ship as well in this state. But this is a much more detailed look. The ship starts its approach to the tower, and we get a look at how poorly Andrea is doing. The answer is not good. She's been laid on a bed in the ship's underbelly, and she has become translucent. If you remember what happened to Dot in The Quick and the Fed, then this is similar. We find out the creature not only stole her energy, but part of her code, so she's been partially erased. Unless they can restore her missing code, she's a goner. As you can imagine, no one is happy about this, but Matrix is completely beside himself. We see him by her side, called away only because the ship is ready to set sail for the web. The surfer heads out to open the portal, able to produce his own personal shielding. He does so, and with the web now opened, the surfer leads the way, and the ship follows. And now the familiar has been left behind. Before them is the eldritch inkiness of the web. And it is here we shall spend the rest of this episode's narrative.
Keep a steady helm!
It's like navigating through an invisible lead soup, sir.
Don't worry, boys. She'll hold together.
I'm back online. Gun, command line, tracking. I got a lock on the web creature.
Matrix catches sight of the creature, and he hijacks the ship and steers it towards it. The blinders are on, and he can only think of one thing: saving the love of his life. It's stupid, but let's be honest, we've all done really dumb things when our loved ones are in danger. It's that feeling of powerlessness that's the worst part. And here, Matrix feels like he could do something. I get it. Still, he steers the ship straight into a storm in pursuit of the creature. You might be surprised that no one tries to stop him, but the surfer's outside and no one else is going to go toe-to-toe with Matrix. Tracer notices the ship veering off the path and heads into the storm to help them. The ship takes a big battering, but holds together, and Tracer uses the same powers that allowed him to open the portal to make a break in the storm and get the ship out. When he gets back on board and realizes it was Matrix, he has some strong words to say.
You steered into a data storm? I might have guessed. Only a hard-headed psychopath could be so stupid.
I did it for Andrea. We need her energy back from that web creature.
You could have gotten everyone deleted, including Andrea.
I don't need this.
Well, you're going to hear it. No, I'm okay. This is my digital domain. If you want to survive the web, you better do as I say.
See? This scene totally works. Now it makes sense for Matrix and Tracer to go at it with each other. There's actual emotional conflict now. Matrix is rough and brutish, but his flaring anger is all about feeling powerless. And Tracer, of course, knows that Matrix just did something really reckless. Capacitor breaks up the fight, telling Surfer that there is only one captain on this ship, but he will take his advice. And then he turns and scolds Matrix, telling him it's only for Dot's sake that he puts up with him. Matrix slumps away, returning to Andrea, while the others look on in disappointment. However, and this redeems a lot of the stupidity in the previous episode, he actually takes a hint and backs off, allowing the surfer to lead the ship through the web and track down this creature. We see him pace anxiously on the deck, until finally Tracer manages to find the beast again, which has joined a group of other creatures like it. Matrix borrows Andrea's trident and lends it to Tracer for the hunt. They don't get sappy in the slightest, but it was a legitimate moment of trust, and probably the best gesture Matrix could have given to Tracer as a peace offering. Ray heads out to wrangle the creature, but other things lay in wait out there.
Easy. Easy. Here we go. Come to Papa.
What was that? Some kind of web ranch hand? We scene shift back to inside the ship as the others see the web creature herd moving off. They presume that Tracer's tracking the creatures, so the ship starts moving. But as they start to go, they spot Tracer's board on one of the monitors. It's just floating in the inky blackness. And it has an enormous chunk taken out of it. Oh dear! Not the surfer! We were just starting to get to know him! They bring the board back onto the ship, and Capacitor, Matrix, and some of the other crew members mourn over him. Matrix sheds no tears, yet he stands in stunned silence, realizing that someone died for his sake, and Andrea's. And maybe, just maybe, he feels a bit guilty for being such a prick to him last episode. Anyways, he decides he needs to go out in his stead, and Capacitor, with a big grin, reveals that they made him a suit of armor for just such an occasion. But how could they possibly have known? Insert Fawn here saying, lucky yes?
Take care of her for me. Out there she'll degrade.
Say no more, lad. Ready, you sloop?
Well, that's interesting. There is more here than meets the eye. Matrix heads out of the armor riding in a small motorboat, basically. He catches up to the herd, but sadly, second verse, same as the first. The strange riders seem to agitate the beasts who rammed the boat. The creature who attacked Andrea hits the boat, causing Enzo's tracker to fall off. Eventually he falls out of the boat too, but who should arrive to save him but the surfer? He's alive. He takes Matrix back to the Saucy Mare, and once safe, we learn that Tracer is the board. His sprite form is a projection. That's really cool. But now's not the time to process that, because a battle looms on the horizon.
There's nothing out there!
You're wrong, Captain. There is something out there. I suggest you order battle stations.
This episode does a lot of good things. It introduces how strange and alien the web is, it builds a new threat in trying to save Andrea, and ends the out-of-character madness Matrix was experiencing last time. Yeah, Matrix and Tracer literally come to blows, but here I perfectly sympathized with both sides, and there was a real reason why it happened. It earns a lot of points for me by just doing that. Which is good, because it's a lacking episode in other respects. It took me a long time to put my finger on it, but the main problem is that it lacks an immediate narrative. Of course, it builds on the big story, and adds new important elements for the future, but it lacks an immediate point. For example, the episode with no name builds the future with tons of lore, but it has an immediate arc, the Trio of Guardians, and that gets resolved. But this just feels like a bridge. No beginning, no end. Nonetheless, great visuals, important character growth, and one of the rawest confrontations between our protagonists make this a good episode. Just not a great one. It's a 2 out of 3 from me.